When I first learned to read, I was taught a very simple rule about spelling and pronunciation. There are certainly exceptions to this rule, but the rule is followed in many cases and is very valuable to know. Let's talk about the spelling rule a little bit now. Keep in mind that in the beginning, we're just going to talk about one-syllable words. Now, you've already drilled multi-syllable words, but to build our foundation of understanding spelling, we want to start by looking at the individual syllables. So we'll start with small one-syllable words. Think of small words that might be 3, 4, or 5 letters long, with one vowel sound. There are 5 written vowels in English: A, E, I, O, U. These vowels can make 2 different sounds, a long sound or a short sound. Now, keep in mind that this is different from the pitch tones we discussed that vowels can make. The long sound is easy to remember because the sound is the same as the name of the vowel: A, E, I, O, and U. The short sounds we have to memorize. You'll drill each of these sounds in the lessons. The sounds are a, e, I, ah, and We'll come back to this rule for each of the sounds, but for now, let's look at 2 of the 5 letters of the alphabet, E and I, specifically in reference to the 2 front vowel sounds you just drilled, E and I. The rule is broken down into what you do when you have 1 or 2 vowels in a word. Let's look first at what to do when you have 2 vowels in a word. In this case, the rule is to cancel or cross out the second vowel and use the long pronunciation for the first vowel. So, for the written vowel E, when there are 2 vowels in a word, and the first one is an E, we will use the sound which is its name, which is the sound E, the first sound that we drilled. Let's look at some examples. Heat. Cross out the A, then pronounce a sound at a time. H, E, T, heat. Need. Cross out the second E, then pronounce a sound at a time. N, E, D, need. Now, let's look at the second half of the rule, which is what to do when you have 1 vowel in a word. If you have 1 vowel in a word, you will use the short sound for that vowel. Keep in mind that if the vowel is followed by an R, this rule won't apply. We'll talk more about that later. So, for the letter I, the short sound is the sound I, the second sound we drilled. So you can imagine how many words are going to use this sound. If you take a word like it, there's 1 vowel, it is an I, and so it will use the sound I, it. And if you build other words by putting a consonant in front of it, all those words will use the sound I as well. Bit, fit, hit, kit, lit, pit, sit, wit. The rule is great to know, and you're going to see it followed over and over again. I'll come back to this rule and talk about it in upcoming sections. At the same time, you need to be aware of some of the exceptions to the spelling rule. These are letters or letter combinations that don't follow the rule, but still make the sound of our target sounds. I'll talk about some of these spelling exceptions for each sound, and in each case, I'll give you a short sentence to help you remember these exceptions. Let's start with some exceptional letter combinations that make the sound E, the first sound that we drilled. Exceptional letter combinations that make the sound E. Number one, E as in we. There aren't a lot of one-syllable words that use only the letter E to make the sound E, but the words that do are very common. They are the verb to be and several pronouns. Be, we, me, she, he. Number two, IE as in peace. IE is not an uncommon spelling for the sound E. When you see this letter combination, don't be surprised if the letters make the sound E, as in these words. Peace, niece, chief, belief, believe. Number three, I as in machine. The letter I by itself can also make the sound E in certain words. Machine, antique, unique, ski, debris. Number four, the written letter combination EY as in key, key. Sentence to remember the exceptional spellings for the sound E. E. We believe the key is an antique. Now, let's look at some of the exceptional letter patterns that make the sound I, the second sound that we drilled. Exceptional letter combinations that make the sound I. Number one, Y as in myth. While the letter I is by far the most common spelling for the sound I, you will see examples of words spelled with a single Y that make this sound. Myth, system, gym. Number two, UI can make the sound I in some words. Build, built, guild. Number three, the letter O makes the sound I in the plural word women. Women. Sentence to remember the exceptional spellings for the sound I. I. The system was built by women. Now that you've learned about the spelling patterns for the sounds E and I, take the spelling quiz for these sounds, and I'll see you in the next video.